lovely couple of nights in Dunbarton, and now we're heading to Cove. Look at me with my pronunciations.
And apparently there's a motorhome air in Cove. So we're coming out now of Dunbarton. Very pretty harbour.
Very narrow roads.
Not as narrow as the road we came in on. Luckily we didn't video that, and hopefully we haven't got to turn left here. Now we're alright. Had to bring the wing mirrors in. We're still suffering from not having had a plan when we started. We're following a plan, because obviously otherwise we wouldn't know where we were going. I'm coming out of Dunbarton without having set the sat-navs. Old style navigation using signs. But there aren't any road signs. It's because everybody's got sat-nav, isn't it? There we are, N25 for Cork. So if you like this style of vlogging, give us a like. If you don't like this style of vlogging, leave us a comment.
And we won't do it again.
It's difficult to get the balance right. So a lot of our videos are quite factual. We go to what we think are interesting places.
Tell you about them.
Sometimes it can feel a bit dry. And I know because when we sit and edit the videos, find yourself nodding off over the computer. Crikey. And I promise not to sing.
Don't sing.
Tonight we're at an air in the town of Cove. It's €10 and has full services. Cove used to be called Queenstown and was the final departure point for the Titanic. It was also from here that the rescue of the Lusitania was coordinated from in May 1915 after it had been torpedoed off the head of Kinsale. Cove is today a modern resort town and a docking point for many cruises. You can also catch the train from Cove directly into Cork. So just at the end of the quay is the Cove Heritage Centre. So if you want to learn more about departures from Queenstown and the transportation ships, then it'll cost you €15 each as an adult. Or if you come in on a cruise ship, it'll only cost you €12. Strange world.
As well as the Heritage Centre, there is a Titanic museum, and the town still has the original Cunard booking office, although it is no longer in use. In the Heritage Centre, you can learn more about Annie Moore. Annie was the first person to be received at Ellis Island when it opened in 1891. She was just 15 years old. Annie married in 1895 but died at the age of 49, having given birth to 10 children. Because of the poverty she lived in, only 5 of her children survived into adulthood. What a very sad story. Yesterday afternoon, we scoped out the public transport options. We are parked up right by the train station, so it seemed quite simple. There was a gate. You go through the gate, you're on the platform. So we walked down this morning, we got to the gate. Gate was locked.
So here we go again. €13.80 for 2 of us, returned to Cork.
It's not too bad. And we have found our way into the station now, so it's all good.
I hate public transport.
Let's hope this is better than our last train experience in Ireland.
Well, that was impressive, wasn't it? We actually arrived in Cork. It was a really good service. Our first port of call was the Tourist Information Office to try and understand why we were actually there. It took a few moments, I have to say, but in the end, what an interesting place. So, of course, the thing to bear in mind is that although the growth of the commercial city of Cork was in the mid-1700s, it had settlements here before. Now, in the 1700s, they reclaimed the land in the River Lee to build the commercial centre on. And just to the side of that, somewhere between 1270 and 1288, those Augustinians were invited to Cork by the Anglo-Normans, establishing an abbey here. It was known as the Red Abbey because of the sandstone. All that remains now, thanks to Henry VIII, is the central bell tower. So this is Mutton Lane leading down to the English market. Trading since 1788, it is one of the oldest municipal markets in the world. The city of Cork is a relatively new city.
But it does have an airport.
And in a fairly substantial part can thank its origins to the Napoleonic Wars and the American War of Independence. Cork was a trading hub, and because of the incredible resource that was the natural harbour upon which Cork sits, it was an ideal place for trading and supply vessels to not only supply the English requirements in the West Indies, but also to support the American War of Independence.
One day, like a tidal wave, a hurricane, like a thunderstorm, the pouring rain, it comes rolling in. And right away, oh, it hits you like a ton of lead. Oh yeah, it'll mess with your head. You won't know where to begin.
About a mile from the city centre of Cork is Marine Market. It's definitely worth the walk up to here. Inside it's like a sort of street food market hall with so many choices. I ended up going for the gluten-free and vegan tofu tacos, and Phil had a gluten-free fish and chips. It's absolutely lovely. We each had an alcohol-free beer, which unfortunately wasn't gluten-free, but that's fine, I can manage that. Really lovely. There were so many options. That wasn't the only thing we could have had. So definitely recommend that you make the effort, if you're in Cork, to walk up to Marine Market.
I'm on the move. We're getting frisky. We're in the group. People are smiling.
So we visited the town of Clonakilty, and Clonakilty has a lot of links to both the Civil and Republican Wars. But we visited the museum, and it's extraordinary. Local museums tell so much about a place. So many things that we take for granted because you buy them in Sainsbury's or Tesco, but where butter was made at home, and when your shoes were literally made locally. Clonakilty was also famous for its lace work and embroidery. So this car park, with no services, is at Tots Bar, which is about 20 minutes or so out of Clonakilty. We're really struggling to find places to stay that aren't €40+ campsites with terrible reviews. Sadly, last night the bar was closed, but there it is. It's on search for sites and park for night, and it was lovely and quiet. Right, well, we're just about packed up now and ready to move on. And we're going to go back to Clonakilty and visit the Black Pudding Factory. Let's go. So the Clonakilty Black Pudding, also known locally as Harrington's Black Pudding, has been made, well, I mean, it's always been something. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that they started to make it commercially beyond local requirements, but everybody made black pudding. The person whose recipe is used is Johanna O'Brien.
Mind you, you'll get nothing out of Johanna. Her lips are sealed. Johanna? Oh, sorry, Johanna O'Brien, that is. She lives out at Sam's Cross, a few miles out west. She makes the black puddings at home for Harrington butchers using their secret recipe. Oh, they keep that recipe very well guarded. And they're right to. That black pudding tastes great, if you ask me. And I hope they keep the recipe just the way it is.
Now, the thing that's different here with Harrington's black pudding is that it's made from beef, so beef blood. And we'll go and find out a little bit more. The Clonakilty was known as the brewery town between the late 19th and early 20th century, and trade was flourishing. They had Deasy's Brewery. Now, they made porter. In 1893, Deasy's Porter received international recognition in the Chicago exhibition, receiving the highest first-class award. So tastes change over the years. So 1880s, they were making black pudding here. Johanna O'Brien, who was the lady who brought the original recipe to Harrington's and was making it for them. And then it kind of moved on, the 1900s, the 1970s. Then the business started to change hands in 1976, and the owner, Edward Toomey, well, he didn't want to make black pudding anymore. He found it quite time-consuming, until he worked out that his customers were actually coming into his shop in order to buy black pudding as well as the other meats that they wanted. And that's kind of the story. So from 1976 on, it has become an international product and celebrated in all the highest circles. Clonakilty black pudding. So I think that we can definitely recommend a trip to the Black Pudding Factory.
And also the black pudding. I've just tried the white pudding. I don't normally like white pudding. That's incredible. And gluten-free. So I got a gluten-free plate, so amazing.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's Friday the 5th of June. And we spent the last couple of days around Clonakilty.
We stayed overnight at Tot's pub for 2 nights.
And it was very pleasant, very quiet. We enjoyed our visit to the Black Pudding Factory.
That was really interesting.
And then we went and had a swim, because you've got to do extreme things to have a shower. But then when you think about it, the swim cost us €5 each, which was a lot cheaper than spending €40 for a campsite.
At least.
So I thought we'd address the elephant in the room. There is an elephant in the room.
Hello, elephant.
And the van isn't big enough for carrying elephants around. So when we came to Ireland last year, we went to a site in the centre of Ireland on the way to Dublin, and the guide said, so if you look at tourism in Ireland, it's a bit like a donut. People nibble around the edges, but they always avoid the middle. So I'll put a picture of our Wilder trips so you can see that we're very much not nibbling around the edges. We are today visiting a stone circle. So we're visiting the Knocknakilla stone circle. So we're going to go and have a look at that. And this lies on the upper northwest slopes of the Mushabeg Mountain. Hopefully the footage of us driving here along the edge of the forest road will show a little bit of what this area is like. So let's go and have a wander up to Knocknaquilla Stone Circle. This is still in County Cork.
Knocknaquilla means church on the hill.
So the site was excavated in 1931. At the time, the circle still had 5 stones standing. These places are always strange. Think of the people moving across the land in the Bronze Age, between 1600 to 1800 BC. They've come through this landscape, and this landscape won't have changed dramatically. For some reason, they come to this area and decide that it's where they're going to lay some stones. For whatever reason, because nobody knows why. This central area here, when it was excavated in 1931, was said to be lined with quartzite stones, and even today people find these places to be of interest, and there are some coins being left. Interesting. Can't really say anything other than interesting, apart from the fact that it is very, very wet, and there's even a smaller circle just in the corner. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Do subscribe, give us a like, leave us a comment, and we'll carry on. In this stunning landscape, we come to our next port of call, Café Crove Derg, the city. Unfortunately, it's inaccessible. The rain has made the stream rise as you're walking along the Dunhallow Way here. But this is believed to be one of the first locations in Ireland to be populated, and there are ongoing excavations attempting to establish the relationship between this site and the cairn-crowned Paps Mountains. And you can see those just in the distance there. We are at King's Yard. Now, King's Yard is a walker's campsite in a farm, or on a farm. And we're in the Galtee Mountains, which are just on the edge of County Tipperary. And after yesterday's drive, I can confirm it is a long way to Tipperary. I had to do it really, didn't I? Okay, I'll give you a quick look round. So we arrived last night. It was a lovely drive, really, if you like very narrow roads and very narrow lanes. There's toilets, there's a shower, if you want to spend €2 for what looks like a crappy electric shower. And you've got the Galtee Walk, which I don't propose that we're going to do. It absolutely lashed down last night. So we're unparked for night. It's €15 for the night, €20 if you want electricity, and there is a water tap, and as I say, there are toilets. Well, I've come in out of the weather. I was just talking to the owner of the campsite here at King's Land.
Yard.
I'm not going to get that right, am I? King's Yard.
Sorry.
And he said that today is a story of Irish rain. You've got light rain, drizzle, heavy rain, intermittent rain, and rain. And that's just the rain. The wind, you've got light wind, heavy wind, very heavy wind, and it's going to be quite windy and it might be blustery. And tomorrow, it's going to be worse. We've come to Loch Wedge tomb. This was a tomb that was excavated in 1938. It consists of a gallery that's 8.5 metres long, subdivided into small chambers known as a portal and a main chamber or large stone. There were human remains found here, although they were fragmentary. A report from 1833 stated an old woman had resided in it for many years.
After the old woman died, people came up here and broke it up a bit more and found some cremated bones in an old jug that they deemed not worth anything. Wonder what they actually found.
So I think the description is possibly longer than the tomb. And in my classic standard of, it's a pile of rocks. Well, quite old rocks, and put here deliberately, but a pile of rocks nevertheless. Here on a very blustery day is Loch Gur. And standing on the banks of Loch Gur, we have a 15th century church, which is currently being restored. Last night we stayed at Loch Gur. You can park overnight in the lower car park, and this morning we've moved up to the upper car park in front of the lake because there was absolutely no mobile signal in the lower car park. There's a heritage centre here, an interpretation centre also for the prehistoric remains and things that have been found around Loch Gur, such as the wedge tomb that we went to yesterday. Just immediately opposite us here on the lake there is a crannog which hasn't been investigated. There were 3 crannogs on this lake. We're going to go to the Heritage Centre. We can tell you a little bit more about the people that used to live here then.
This is the Spectacles, a medieval farm on a platform overlooking Loch Gur. They're so called because of 2 circular structures and 1 rectangular one. They are built over the remains of Stone Age homes. Carrig Isle is home to 2 massive ring forts. They were once 7 feet high and topped with a palisade. They were inhabited between the 7th and the 10th centuries. One has a well-preserved entrance, paved for humans and cobbled for cattle. Excavations here found iron knives, bone combs, stone axes, and a hoard of Danish silver, suggesting the presence of Vikings. At Grange Stone Circle, there are actually 3 stone circles. This is a small one. It's got a very strange feeling. And this is the main stone circle. It is the largest one in Ireland, and unusually it's pretty much complete.
You could actually walk around and in the circle, so you weren't behind netting and fences, and it was really atmospheric. I was just waiting for the rain to clear so we can go to, appropriately, a bog nature reserve. Griston Bog is just an amazing place. What a fabulous nature and wildlife reserve. I would definitely suggest it's worth a visit, and it's most definitely off the normal track. The bog provides an incredibly important habitat to all sorts of birds, butterflies and moths, waterfowl and waterbirds, and an enormous diversity of plants. Even in the rain today, you can see the rather bedraggled tufty tops of the bog cotton.
In 1823 and 1825, families from all over Ireland left Cove as part of a resettlement programme from the British government following the Napoleonic Wars and the Corn Laws, creating a food shortage and making farming much more difficult. These people were taken to Canada, specifically Ontario and Ottawa, and this area has been planted in their memory.
Taking the less travelled path is definitely rewarding, and that bog was brilliant. It was such a lovely walk, even though it was raining and horrible. Just listening to the peace and the sound of the birds was a true delight. I do hope you're enjoying the video. Thank you ever so much for watching, and don't forget there will be another one out soon.